Today we are going to see about the preamble of the Constitution. Okay, that is in fourth chapter, the polity, Lakshmikanth polity. Okay, let us see. The American Constitution was the first to be begin with a preamble. Many countries, including India, followed this practice. The term preamble refers to the introduction or preface to the Constitution. It contains a summary or essence of the Constitution. N.A. Polkiwala, an eminent jurist and constitutional expert, called the preamble as the ID code of the Constitution. Okay, the preamble of the Constitution is based on the objectives resolution drafted and moved by Pandit Nehru and adopted by the Constituent Assembly. It has been amended by the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, which added three new words: socialist, secular, and integrity. Next, text of the preamble. The preamble in its present form reads: We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all. Then, fraternity among the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adapt, enact, and give to ourselves these constitutions. Ingredients of the preamble. Ingredients of the preamble. The preamble reveals four ingredients or components. First one, source of authority of the Constitution. The preamble states that the Constitution derives its authority from the people of India. Next, second one, nature of Indian state. It declares India to be of a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republican polity. 3. Objectives of the Constitution. It specifies justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity as the objectives. Next, 4. Date of adoption of the Constitution. It stipulates November 26, 1914 as the date. Keywords in the preamble. Contain keywords: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity are explained as follows. Then sovereign. Okay, the word sovereign implies that India is neither a dependency nor a dominion of any other nation, but an independent state. There is no authority above it, and it is free to conduct its own affairs, both internal and external. Though in 1914, India declared the continuation of her full membership of the Commonwealth of Nations and accepted the British Crown as the head of the Commonwealth. This extra constitutional declaration does not affect India's sovereignty in any manner. Further, India's membership of the United Nations Organization UNO also in no way constitutes a limitation on her sovereignty. Being a sovereign state, India can either acquire a foreign territory or cede a part of its territory in favor of a foreign state. Then socialist. Even before the term was added by the 42nd Amendment in 1976, the Constitution has had a socialist content in the form of certain directive principles of state policy. In other words, what was hitherto implicit in the Constitution has now been made explicit. Moreover, the Congress party itself adopted a resolution to establish a socialistic pattern of society in its Awadhi session as early as in 1955 and took measures accordingly. Notably, the Indian brand of socialism is a democratic socialism or not a communistic socialism, also known as state socialism, which involves the nationalization of all means of production and distribution and the abolition of private property. Democratic socialism, on the other hand, holds faith in a mixed economy where both public and private sectors coexist side by side. As the Supreme Court says, democratic socialism aims to end poverty, ignorance, disease, and inequality of opportunity. Indian socialism is a blend of Marxism and Gandhism, leaning heavily towards Gandhian socialism. The new economic policy 1991, liberalization, privatization, and globalization has, however, diluted the socialist credentials of the Indian state. Then secular. The term secular too was added by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. However, the Supreme Court said in 1974, although the words secular state were not expressly mentioned in the Constitution, there can be no doubt that Constitution makers wanted to establish such a state. Accordingly, Articles 25 to 28, guaranteeing the fundamental right to freedom of religion, have been included in the Constitution. The Indian Constitution embodies the positive concept of secularism, that is, all religions in our country, irrespective of their strength, have the same status and support from the state. A democratic polity, as stipulated in the preamble, is based on the doctrine of popular sovereignty, that is, possession of a supreme power by the people. Democracy is of two types: direct and indirect. Indirect democracy, the people in direct democracy, the people exercise their supreme power directly, as in the case in Switzerland. There are four devices of direct democracy, namely referendum, initiative, recall, and plebiscite. It is important: referendum, initiative, recall, and plebiscite. Four direct devices of direct democracy. Is indirect democracy, on the other hand, the representatives elected by the people exercise the supreme power and thus carry on the government and make the laws. This type of democracy, also known as representative democracy, and is of two kinds: parliamentary and presidential. Indirect. The Indian Constitution provides for representative parliamentary democracy, under which the executive is responsible to the legislature for all its policies and actions. Universal adult franchise, periodic elections, rule of law, independence of judiciary, and absence of discrimination on certain grounds are the manifestations of the democratic charter of the Indian polity. The term democratic is used in the preamble in the broader sense, embracing not only political democracy but also social economic democracy. This dimension was stressed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in his including speech in the Constituent Assembly on November 25, 1949, in the following way: political democracy cannot last unless political democracy cannot last unless there lies at the base of its social democracy. What does social democracy mean? It means a way of life which recognizes liberty, equality, and fraternity. The principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity are not, that is, to be treated as separate items in the Trinity. They form a union of fraternity in the sense that to diverse one from the other, and is to defeat the very purpose of democracy. Liberty cannot be diverged from equality, equality cannot be diverged from liberty, nor can liberty and equality be diverged from fraternity. Without equality, liberty would produce the supremacy of the few over the many. Equality without liberty would kill individual initiative. In the same context, the Supreme Court observed in 1997 that the Constitution envisions to establish an egalitarian social order, rendering to every citizen social, economic, and political justice in the social economic democracy of the Bharat Republic. Then Republic. A democratic polity can be classified into two categories: monarchy and republic. In a monarchy, the head of the state, usually king or queen, enjoys a hereditary position. That is, he comes into office through succession. Example: Britain. In a republic, on the other hand, the head of the state is always elected directly or indirectly for a fixed period. Example: USA. Therefore, the term republic in our preamble indicates that India has an elected head called the president. He is elected indirectly for a fixed period of 5 years. A republic also means two more things: one, vesting of political sovereignty in the people, and not in a single individual like a king; second, the absence of any privileged class, and hence all public offices being opened to every citizen without any discrimination. Then justice. The term justice is in the preamble embraces three distinct forms: social, economic, and political, secured through various provisions of fundamental rights and directive principles. Social justice denotes the equal treatment of all citizens without any social distinction based on caste, color, race, religion, sex, and so on. It means absence of privileges being extended to any particular section of the society, and improvement in the conditions of backward classes, SC, ST, OBCs, and women. Economic justice denotes the non-discrimination between people on the basis of economic factors. It involves the elimination of glaring inequalities in wealth, income, and property. A combination of social injustice and economic justice denotes what is known as a distributive justice. Political justice implies that all citizens should have equal political rights, equal access to all political offices, and equal voice in the government. The ideal of justice, social, economic, and political, has been taken from the Russian Revolution 1917. Okay, next, liberty, equality, fraternity, significance of preamble. Preamble is part of Constitution. Amendability. These are all discussed in the next day. Okay, bye bye.